Dave Burkett here, Radio Row Super Bowl 58 with Super Bowl winning head coach Brian Billick from the Baltimore Ravens. And he's here with signalrelief.com. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But basically a patch that helps reduce pain relief. Absolutely. And I want you to tell everyone how they can get a discount on that with that. But let's start off talking with the Lions. We were just talking before we started recording this. It was a pretty magical season for the Lions.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to see the city. As I mentioned, my daughter and my son-in-law lived in Detroit, and to have that kind of success where Detroit has struggled for so long, Dan Campbell's done a phenomenal job, and to set the basis for the next step forward. That's the key. Now, it's okay, what have you done for me lately? But obviously, Jared Goff, what they were able to do to establish that winning tradition, now they have a reference point. They'll make whatever additional things they need to do to the club to take that next step, and help with the secondary and do some of the other things they need to do, and they're going to be a factor next year.
I just asked Bill Cowher this. As a former NFL coach, very successful coach, what do you like most about Dan Campbell, the way he's galvanized that team, what he's done as Lions?
Well, he's done what you have to do when you come in. Every coach that takes the job comes in and says, well, I got to change the culture. And do you really? Well, clearly there you did. And he had to start from ground zero. And he stuck to his guns, tough going early, but he stayed with it. He stayed with the mentality. He kept the organization on point in terms of what we need to be, what we want to do. And they supported that, and the players have come around to it. So he has changed the culture. He's got them, on the precipice, but now's the next step. You got to take the next step.
When you watch teams, can you tell if players are buying fully into their coaches, their system?
Sure. You can tell by just the attitude they play with, the energy level. You can tell whether they're buying into the coach, and just the body language and the way they carry themselves. Certainly when you're winning, that's a lot easier. The challenge is when you hit the rough spots, how do they carry themselves? Do they stick with you? Do they blink? Do you have the courage of their conviction? And they did, and they stuck with it and got over some bumps and bruises, some bumps in the road. But and then, like I said, now's the next challenge where we'll really test the culture is, can you take that next step?
Here with Brian Billick, signalrelief.com. We'll get to that in one second. About the Lions and that next step. From your experience, what was the key? What was the key to taking that next step? How does one team go from being just on the cusp to getting to the Super Bowl?
Well, it begins with the quarterback, and they wrap the right elements around the quarterback, and they believed in it. Defensively, they had a certain toughness about them. They need to improve in a couple other areas to allow them to do a little bit more against the top teams. The way they came out and ran the ball against the 49ers was impressive. And it bode well for the future to have that kind of physicality. And now it's just, when I say the next step, it really is just adding the right players and then maintaining that same discipline, because you start next year, you got to start all over. That's the difficult thing. It's like a marriage. You're never there. You can never stop saying I love you. It's all the time, right? So now they got to continue. Redeveloped and reestablish that personality and the relationship between the players, which is a constant, 24/7 job, and then influx the new players and keep that same mentality.
I think that's maybe harder than people on the outside realize, because you went 12-4, you made the Super Bowl. Take a little step back the next year, right? When you won 13 games, I think a couple years later, take a step back.
Exactly right, which is going to happen because you're going to go up in the caliber of the teams you play because of the way the schedule is structured, and the expectations. And the challenge with the players is now it's okay. Now we just got to get to the playoffs and show that we can do that. Well, no, you got to get through a full season. You can't just dismiss that. Assume that you have that. So you got again, first day of training camp, you literally got to start at square one and reestablish that same commitment to what you're doing.
Fortunes change, injuries change, luck, everything changes. One thing that won't for the Lions is they're bringing both coordinators back. Huge. Ben Johnson.
That's huge. That continuity that you can carry on, and that means that you get to start from day one from where you left off in terms of, and that's the great thing as a coach. They now bring back whatever majority of the team they bring back. Okay, I know you guys know what it looks like now, because we've been there together. So that's the minimum now for us going forward. And you can start from that and build on from that rather than have to do a whole lot of changes and add-ons and the like. That's a great place to start from.
So you're a former offensive coordinator. Tell me, as you watch this Lions offense, the weapons that they had, the running game, you mentioned the running game, Jared Goff's probably going to get paid this offseason. Amon-Ra St. Brown probably will get paid. Penei Sewell before long. How does that change the dynamic, if at all? Either what you can build or what that offense can be?
Well, that's always the challenge in the NFL, is what changes then take place because of cap reasons. And at the end of the day, the cap, the dollar only goes so far, and you got to make those tough decisions and then recreate with whatever you've got to do to bring in players to recreate that same thing if you do have the loss of a player. They obviously had great balance. They ran the ball well. Jared Goff was brilliant, his ability to get the ball down the field. But now you can build on that. Again, you probably look at the offensive line. There's some things you can do there to solidify that and continue to supply him with as many weapons as you can to build on that balance that they showed last year.
Has Jared answered all the questions about him being a game manager, not being able to lead?
Yeah, I can't imagine. He did that before, and that's a misnomer. The game manager, you know what? There's a lot of guys that are game managers, can win a lot of games, and that was perfect for the Detroit Lions to come out there and just fling it around. Would get a bunch of numbers, so I get the next big contract. Wouldn't have served the same purpose. So yeah, I can't imagine them not being excited about re-signing him.
All right, very last Lions thing here. Dan Campbell caught some flack for some of the decisions he made, the fourth down decisions. You've been through it before. I didn't have as much fault or find as much fault as some other people did. That's who he's been all year. I'm just curious as a coach how you thought about what you thought about.
Those decisions are always looked through the prism of, if it worked, you're a genius. If it didn't, you're the village idiot. Same guy making the same decisions. It's what he's done all year. If he'd, on the particular fourth down call everybody's questioning, if they'd have gotten that, if they'd have sustained that and scored, it would have been the most brilliant coaching move of the year. And that's him and his personality and drives. But because it didn't work, okay, you're the village idiot. And so that's the thing. You've got to look at it within context. It stayed within the personality of the team. He was trying to be aggressive. I got a tough time saying that was the wrong decision.
You go back and look, drop pass on one of those fourth downs, the 3rd and goal from the one, they make a block. It's a walking touchdown. So a lot there. All right. Signal Relief. I see you got a patch right here. Let's tell everyone about
amazing product. I had a lot of people approach me with a lot of things. This is the real deal. Pro players, everyday human beings, it's about staying in the game. The players, it's about dealing with the pain that you always have, and how do I get to that next level? How do I work through that? Because that's where the therapy really comes from, working through the pain, working the joints, working the muscles. This is an amazing product. You use Signal Relief. It's reusable, so it's very affordable. You put it where you need it. It's a military grade. It blocks the pain signal, because that's all pain is. It's an electrical signal in your body to your brain. We say put it between the brain and the pain. You block that. That allows you then to do that next thing. Rework the joints, rework the muscles. It's reusable, which is so great. And it's very, very affordable. 100% guaranteed money back if you don't like it, but you will. Because for me, at this stage of my life, I go 18 holes of golf, goes to my lower back. Okay. I come out of the pool, I swim 3 days a week on my shoulder, up on my upper shoulder. If I'm playing racquetball or tennis, elbow, I put it up here. It blocks the pain. That allows you then to work through it. That's where the rehab comes from. Go to signalrelief.com. Put in promo code COACH, get 20% back. But look at the technology behind this. It makes infinite sense as to how this works. People need to check it out because it's the real deal.
How are you shooting on the golf course these days?
Not bad. I'm lying about my handicap like everybody. So if I could just play as good as my lied handicap is, I'd be in great shape.
All right, let's end it with this. Super Bowl again. We're here. Super Bowl 58 Radio Row. Who do you like and why Sunday?
San Francisco's got everything it needs to win this game, but it's Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how you bet against Patrick Mahomes.
I'm with you there. Brian Billick, Super Bowl winning coach, signalrelief.com, Dave Burkett, Freep.com. Thanks for joining us.